6 committee. Let's listen in. This may get fiery.
That at all. You find your common ground. We strive for bipartisanship. So how they voted on that bill is not relevant to how we are legislating. On the other hand, the two people that I excluded, so three of the three that I appointed, one of them voted against the ratification, and the other two voted for it. Having said that, though, the other two made statements and took actions that just made it ridiculous to put them on such a committee seeking the truth. At the same time, we have a committee to address economic disparities in our country, and the leader gave me 6 names for that committee. 5 of them voted against making the election of Joe Biden official, but I approved all 6 of them, even though only 1 of them voted in that regard. So it has not been a factor, even though the press, somehow or other, you all think that it might be. It has not been a factor. The chairman of that committee, Jim Himes, is already staffed up and ready for a hearing next week, as is Mr. Thompson for a hearing next week. But the leader may want to rescind those names. I'm ready to have them be accepted on the floor of the House. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, there are some members who would like to be on it, but we'll see. Yes, ma'am.
Can you elaborate more specifically what statements and what actions caused you to...
Well, no, I won't. I'll just give you their statements. You'll give you their statements. I think one of them was sort of of Mr. Banks was that the Biden administration was responsible for January 6th. There was no Biden administration on January 6th, but let's not go into that. Are you up to date on their statements? I'd like you to see them because they completely just make it impossible for them to exercise judgment. Again, this is about seeking the truth. And it's about as I said in my comment, with respect for the integrity of the investigation, with concern that the American people want to know the truth, and in light of statements and actions taken by them, I could not appoint them. I said that while this may be unprecedented, so was an attack on the Capitol. I'm not going to spend any more time talking about them. Yes, Shed.
Thank you. So on the bipartisan question about this committee and Ms. Cheney, you said this is bipartisan. You know, when you talk and poll Republicans, many of them believe.
All right, you're listening there for the first time. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi addressing reporters in an official setting. This right after rejecting 2 House Republican members that were nominated by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. That was Representative Jim Banks and Jim Jordan, not allowing them to sit on the committee for the investigation into January 6th. That committee that is being brought forward to ask the questions of what happened. Was it a failure of security and so forth. It was Kevin McCarthy that said that he would be pulling all nominees from the Republican Party from that committee so far. There was a question asked to Pelosi as why she did react that way she did and pull those, and she referred to the comments that were made by Jim Banks. I want to bring in Professor Thane Rosenbaum joining us live. He's a professor at Touro College. He's also the author of the book, Saving Free Speech from Itself. There it is on your screen. Professor, good to see you. I've got a number of topics I want to talk to you about, but obviously the breaking news there, the speaker speaking, not as fiery as I would have thought, but we are monitoring it right now as it is happening. Your overall thoughts on it? She called McCarthy and him pulling the nominees ridiculous. She said the hearing is going to begin next week, and all they are doing is seeking the truth. Your thoughts on it?
Speaking of free speech, Sean, right, what she says sounds to me very anti-democratic and very illiberal. All legislators under our Constitution are protected under the speech and debate clause of the Constitution. We expect our legislators to have disagreements. We don't expect unanimity. We expect speech and debate. So what she's really saying, I thought at the end when she said, well, you know, what I'm doing here is an extreme measure, but so is January 9th. I don't know what she's saying. Is she saying January 6th, because of January 6th, I'm going to suspend the entire concept of democracy in the House of Representatives when it comes to a special committee designed to seek the truth. I don't think they agree with me, and because they don't agree with me, they shouldn't sit on the committee. And there's only one result that has to be achieved here, which is to put the pressure on those people who were responsible for January 6th. There's no other truth. And that just it's anti-democratic, Sean.
Yeah, it seems as if there will be Republicans. There are supposed to be Republicans a part of this committee, but it's only the Republicans that she's choosing, not allowing the House Minority Leader to do so.
Well, quite right. She's saying, we don't want backbenchers on this committee. We don't want people that object. We don't want people to call attention to other values. That was the point that you heard when she said, the comment about the Biden administration that didn't exist at the time. Right. That's not the point, Sean. We know that he wasn't at the time installed as a president of the United States, but they're trying to make another comment about a much broader understanding of how we got to January 6th. So if that's what's in that statement in the letter, that just seems to me the kind of thing that the committee should discuss. And it's the kind of thing a Republican should be able to speak about in the committee. But she seems to be saying what you're saying. Unless you would agree with us, we have no interest in having you help us find the truth.
You know, it just confuses myself personally, just, reading the news and investigating this type of stuff. We have a House Intelligence Committee. We have a House Judiciary Committee. We have an FBI. We have a DOJ. What is this committee going to do that a House Intelligence Committee could not do?
It's because the whole point is to make it special, right? As we've seen, this war against democracy, this is what Democrats have been arguing now since January 6th, an attack against the Constitution. The idea is to just continue to focus on January 6th, to divert attention from other matters that are equally important. And by the way, other legal matters that were ignored, right? For instance, all the offshoots of Black Lives Matter and the attacks on the Constitution and the destruction of property there. No one seems to be interested there. There's no special committee there. I think the answer to your question is, if you call it a special committee, it calls more attention to it. And as you heard her say, this was so extreme. I think she would say to you, Sean, we can't just give this to the Intelligence Committee. Mm-hmm. We have to invent an entire new committee to just discuss the truth here. But what she seems to be saying is there's only one truth.
Yeah. All right, we'll leave it right there. I'm out of time with you. Thane, I know we brought you on to talk about a completely different topic, but I appreciate you fluctuating with us with the breaking news. Professor Thane Rosenbaum joining us live. Thank you, sir. Good to see you.
Anytime, Sean. Same here.
Well, still ahead, the world may be focused on the 2020 Tokyo